peace for all seasons. Love every moment. Light shines wherever we are. Faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy, sweet joy in our hearts. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Every day is a choice to show some kindness. We all are part of one family, yeah. So connected, our hearts and spirit. I reach out for you, you reach out for me. Now peace for our seasons, love every moment. Light shines wherever we are. Faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy, joy in our hearts. Now is the time to come together to count our blessings. We are grateful. We lift our voices in one chorus. My brothers, my sisters, let's celebrate. Now peace for all seasons, love every moment. Light shines wherever we are. Faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy, joy in our hearts. Oh yeah. Talking about joy. Give a little bit of faith and hope. Let's celebrate peace. Let's celebrate love. Let's celebrate light that shines. Shine, shine, shine. Let's celebrate faith. Let's celebrate hope. Let's celebrate joy. Joy in our hearts. Now peace for our seasons. Love every moment. Light shines wherever we are. Faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy, joy in our hearts. Oh, peace for our seasons. Love every moment. Light shines wherever we are. Faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, and joy, joy in our hearts. Joy, joy in our hearts, and joy, joy, joy in our hey, hey, hey. Oh, in our hearts now. I talk about joy. Oh, love. Let's celebrate love, and peace. It's the season. Gonna find a reason.
Talk about
Oh, talk about love.
let's talk about
Let's
love.
talk about love. Shine my light, shine my light, shine my light, shine my light, shine my light. Joy. Go to shining light.
Shine the light on joy. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Midtown, Spiritual Living Midtown. We're glad you're with us. Such is the nature of life that all it asks and all it demands is the opportunity to appear. You are that opportunity, so am I, and so it is. What that means is that we are here to celebrate life itself as it flows through you and the way that it's showing up as you. And it shows up as life in you and as you, whatever way you choose to define it. Whatever your belief system, whatever your background, whatever your ethnicity, whatever your sexual preferences or sexual assignments or reassignments or any of that, we simply recognize that life, God, shows up in us in thousands and millions of different ways. And whatever way that is, we celebrate it, we recognize it as good, and we know and believe in you and what you are and who you are and what you can become. This month, we are pausing for guidance, and today is a playful pause. So we're going to talk about play. We're going to talk about how we do that. If you needed some help, just hang out with a 5-year-old. You won't need any help. But let's talk about it because I think it's a challenge for many of us. So I would like to introduce our practitioner of the day, who is one of our leaders. He's also a board member. He's a very important support for CSL Midtown, Doug Moody.
Thank you, Dr. Bob Deen, and good morning, Center for Spiritual Living, Midtown, Atlanta, and beyond. I'm thrilled to be with you guys this morning and to share this wonderful theme, a playful pause. What we're going to do right now is we're going to get started with our declaration of principle. This is who and what we believe. And so if you will, please recite this with me. It's up on your screen. And let's begin. I believe in one God, one absolute power, and first cause to all things. I believe that this power is perfect love, and it creates out of a desire to express love. I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience. I believe in the unity of all life and the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding. I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all. And so it is. I'm so pleased to be here and excited to be here this morning. I got really excited when I was selecting music and just focusing on this theme, especially this time of year. We're kind of winding down summer, getting ready for children to go back to school, and it's kind of that last minute crunch for people to take vacations, which I think for many of us tend to be that playful pause. And it reminded me, I kind of found an old diaries, a book of some things that I wrote, and it was written during a time when I was actually between jobs, and I was spending some time down at my second home in Naples, Florida. Love the beach, and the Gulf of Mexico is very beautiful down there. And it was written in October, a time when back then it was a sleepy town and very seasonal, and so basically only the local people were there. And I think this poem that I wrote captures the spirit of play today. I'm not going to do any quotes. We're going to take a playful pause from all of that and just celebrate. What I love about these playful pauses is that when we're open to them and open our minds and our imaginations, all sorts of good can come through us. And when I found this poem, I just realized it's like, oh, I think this is perfect for today. So I'm going to share this with you. It's something I wrote in October of 2006 while on the beach. And the title of it is Bathing. I am floating in this gulf so calm, and aqua is all I see. Save for my toes, which break the calm surface, into nothingness I venture. With no required effort, I float, and I float. I am floating in this gulf so clear, the warm water caressing my skin. each gentle wave drawing all the strife from my soul, pulling it out to sea beyond the distant horizon. I see it all so clearly. I float and I float. I am floating in this gulf omniscient, this bath of life from God. All worries are long gone. All loving is refreshed. I float and I float. I am floating in this gulf of love. The whisper of waves meet the sands of time. The meeting of time and destiny. I am not out of reach. This is my life, and this is my beach. Interesting how in our journal that we follow along with our Sunday services, the quote for today's was, "Serious art is born from serious play." Not so sure about my poetry being serious art, but it's all creative expression. And I hope that my poem somehow maybe shared with you a little bit about what this playful pause can do for each and every one of us in our lives, and be open to it. So now we're going to move into a affirmative prayer. I'm going to say this in the first person. I'm going to ask you to accept whatever resonates with you for yourself, and whatever doesn't, just let it keep going, moving on behind you. Let's all just relax, uncross our legs and limbs, open our hearts and minds, and know this with me. There's only one God, one infinite power, one divine intelligence, one cosmic something operating throughout the universe and throughout me and each right now in every moment. And I am always one with this divine power and intelligence because it is always within me, always expressing perfectly as me in each person present in our own unique ways. And when I allow and recognize this presence to come forth, I and each are one with the infinite creator, the infinite power of good in the universe. I call this power forth now. And in doing so, I claim divine love, divine right action, divine joy to watch over me and each person present, right now and always. In doing so, I know that taking a playful pause is food for the soul, is joy, is creativity, brings forth imagination, new ideas, new opportunities, new areas of growth for me and each. I celebrate this playful pause. I know that this is good and productive time to bring forth the joy in my heart, to clear my mind, so that I can listen to that small voice within that always guides me in divine right action to where I need to be. Knowing this, I am grateful for the presence of Spirit within me and within each. I celebrate this presence. I celebrate this center. I celebrate these Sundays, these times that we are together to take that pause, to know a greater idea. And it is good. And knowing this, I release my word into the universal law, knowing it is already done. I simply let it be so. and so it is. Thank you. And this morning, our reflective music is from our favorite Daniel Nahmod, one of my favorite songs of his, Gotta Be True. Enjoy it, and thank you.
Am I nervous? Of course I am. You don't even have to ask. Facing a mystery anyone would be. One more step and it's out of my hands. There can be no turning back. Can't say what's in front of me. You know I can't wait to see. This is something I owe to myself. This is something I've just gotta do. I don't know what I'll find, but there's one thing I know about my life. It's gotta be, it's just gotta be true. Oh yeah. I remember, of course I do, how I used to hear my heart. What I most want to be, what I most long to see. Well, that voice has faded so far away. I hardly recognize myself. What happened to me? No wonder I couldn't breathe. This is something I owe to myself. This is something I've just gotta do. I don't know what I'll find, but there's one thing I know about my life. It's gotta be, yeah, it's just gotta be true. It's been a lifelong habit, gave away my power, playing follow the leader again and again. Well, my soul won't have it, I won't hide or cower. I'm ready to dive back in. This is something I owe to myself. This is something I've just gotta do. This is something I owe to myself. This is something I've just gotta do. I don't care what I'll find, but there's one thing I know about my life. It's gotta be true. It's gotta be true. It's gotta be true.
It's gotta be true. Thank you, Daniel Nahmod. And thank you, Doug, for picking the absolute best possible song for us today, because that song encapsulates and embodies everything that I plan to talk about. Got to be true to ourselves. And nothing supports us and helps us with that greater than to pause for guidance. And pausing for guidance is something we are deeply into considering and hopefully doing in this month of August. A pause for guidance. There was a time in my life, and still sometimes today, when I think about this business of playing and relaxing, I go, oh yeah, not probably going to happen. I don't have time. I got to schedule it first. I got to get it in my schedule because I've got some goals to accomplish that I've got to get done. And if I stop the doing, I might miss out on something. And if I don't really push constantly towards that thing I want to become or be or learn or do, the time may just get away and it'll be too late. See, we are so pushed in our culture today to attack and deal with any kinds of challenges, any kinds of goals. Remember the 5-year plan? And many corporations and businesses may still need to do that in order to, line things up in a way. Not knocking any of that. Achieving is a good thing. But achieving as a goal in itself can be pretty empty if we're not careful. If it's our intention and our purpose. So here's my question. What if you had a way to guarantee that all of those goals, all of those ideas and things that you've been pushing for all these years, all of the things you want to do when we get done with this virus, all of those things you want to have could be yours already, while you're also having some fun and pausing and enjoying your day-to-day life. What if? Well, consider this. Ernest Holmes says, I shall walk no more alone, for one walks with me and will never more leave me or depart from me. I shall walk no more alone, for one walks with me who knows the path of life, whose feet will never falter or fail. My inner light shines through the midst of human belief and frees me from the bondage of fear and limitation. I shall walk with you, my friend, and shall learn the ways of life and freedom. We shall travel together from this day, and no one can part us. For we are united in the perfect bonds of everlasting unity. I walk with thee. There's a power within us. We say it all the time. There's a power within us, a power for good. And in this particular passage, Dr. Holmes personalizes that and says it's more than just an abstract idea. It can actually be a sense of connection and freedom and friendship with a power far greater than you that knows the path of life and knows how to live it, knows how to walk it, and will never leave you. Let that sink in for a minute, folks. How amazing if we really believed that and lived it. It would make a huge difference in what we do. You see, often what drives us in achieving and in going after things and trying to make things happen is our fear. Fear that we'll miss out. Fear that somehow, if we take this path of ease and least resistance, we won't accomplish the things that are important to us. And I'm not suggesting we don't put a lot of effort into that which we care about. Another way we say it and have said it repeatedly is that there's a power for good in the universe and we can use it. There's a power for good in the universe and it uses us when we allow it. And that friend walking within you that's guiding your steps and that's guiding you can give you all that you need to take those steps to go forward, to be who you want to be. Pardon me. I just flew back from Mexico and I got a little snort or a sneeze. So using that power from within us is different than using the power of trying to manipulate things. You know, we in the Science of Mind teach that there are two levels of life. and they are just about where is your perspective. The one is the level of cause, the level where the real power of life exists, and that is in consciousness. That is in the unseen, unspoken world of truth and reality, capital R. And there's the world of effect. What is the result of those ideas and thoughts that show up? You know, everything in our world that either good or bad, in our opinions, is a result of somebody's consciousness. We have created all of this. You know, and consciousness change from place to place. And if we want to create change, we could start by trying to fix things on the outside. You know, if you don't like what's in the mirror, you can always try to change the mirror. I once stayed in a hotel in San Francisco that had mirrors that were concave, I guess, because they made me look about 30 pounds less. So when I went out that night to enjoy a concert, I looked really good. When I saw myself in a mirror walking into the concert hall, I looked just like I always did. So changing the mirror doesn't change the reality. Changing the things that are going on the outside doesn't fix it or doesn't change what's really the truth. Because what's really the truth is your own consciousness, your own thought, your own truth. And the truth is, regardless of how I looked that night, I had a marvelous time. I had great sense of joy and freedom and power from hearing this beautiful music. So the idea here is to bring to us and bring forward the use of that power within in a way that will allow us freedom. You know, we say with little kids, especially up until about age 7 or 8, till we send them off to school, that it's their job to play. And they do it so automatically. Well, that kid is still inside of you and me, regardless of what the outside looks like. And it's so often that we have closed all of that down and shut it down in order to achieve, in order to show up in a certain way. When in reality, if we just could let go and recapture the joy of the kid in you that loved to play. And we do that by listening. We do that by listening inside, listening to the spirit of life that is walking with you every step of the way, and trusting it to bring forward and bring to you those things which you require. And those things would make your life just so much more joyful. You know, and that inner guidance or inner voice isn't always a loud clanging thing that gets your attention. One of the ways that you really get to see and experience that is with where is your curiosity? What are you curious about? What gets your attention? What do you, I want to know more about that. Years ago when I lived in Florida, I would drive down to a friend in Sarasota from Tampa, and I'd like to take the back roads. And every time I went down this particular area, I would pass by a turnoff on the little island of Teresita. And I just was fascinated by what was down that road. I had no reason to be. It was just a street, just a road. It wasn't a street. It was a road in the woods. And finally, one day I had enough time that I followed my curiosity. And at that time in my life, I was exploring a great deal about the native people's heritage here in this country, and particularly in Florida, where I grew up. So I've always been fascinating. I've gathered things on the beach, you know, from the Mayan culture that we found on one of the islands near my house, near my home. So I just had that pull every time I drive by that street. So I turned down that street one day, found myself going through this beautiful banyan forest, and at the end was a big mound. Yeah, almost pyramid size created 1,000 years ago by the Indians of that area. It had been excavated. It had been studied. I was able to find out once I found the name of it, because there was nothing to tell you that was down there. And it was a fascinating place. And climbing to the top of it and meditating was really powerful, because I felt so much energy of the 1,000 years of people who had done just that, because this was a ritual mound. And I don't know that they did anything the same way I do. They don't know, neither does anyone else. But there was a wonderful stone that marked the time down at the bottom of the mound. If I hadn't paid attention to my curiosity, to what had gotten my attention in the first place, that's a wonderful chapter of my life, because I spent over that next 2 years, many times down there visiting it. I would have missed out. I would have missed it completely. And I would have done that because I was rushing to my next appointment or rushing to my next thing and rushing to get back, instead of pausing for guidance. And it's sometimes, excuse me, sometimes not even that profound, or that there was a sense, because in this case, I swear to you, that road looked greener to me just by driving by. After I'd been down there, it didn't look that way anymore, but it was still a draw. And sometimes those nudges, those inner guidance things, come in a simpler way through our curiosity. While I was in Mexico last week, I was staying in Chapala, and it's an area where there are a number of retired ministers from CSL and other New Thought groups and other spiritual groups, retired from the US, retired from other parts of the world. Had a wonderful time leading a conference there. And there was one particular woman who was driving us around wherever we needed to go. They took great care of those of us who were presenters. And I guess it was on Wednesday afternoon. She was dropping us back at the hotel, and we were making plans for the next day. And she said, I can pick you up to get you to the broadcast room at 3:00. But I'm having lunch before that with someone else, so I won't pick you up till just before time. I would never ask a stranger, who are you having lunch with? That's certainly not someone I didn't know better. But I was curious. Oh my goodness. I had this boom from inside of me that was like, ask her. Kind of like the 5-year-old. Ask her. Come on, ask her. And I did. I said, who are you having lunch with, if I may ask? I did put a little politeness on it. She said, Pat King, Reverend Pat King. I almost cried in the moment. Pat King was the minister who was my first mentor in CSL back in the 95 to 2000. We walked through the really struggling kinds of things I needed to learn to be effective and to use this living from the inside out. Pat taught me about health at the time, as well as go to consciousness. I would call her and say, I got this going on. I don't know what to do about it. And she said, well, what does your consciousness tell you? I don't want that. I want you to tell me how to fix it. She wouldn't. She refused. She would say, let's go to prayer. Let's go to meditation. And let's see what comes up. And let's talk about what you're feeling and what you're thinking and what's going on. Most powerful, amazing experience for me of really getting started in this teaching. So I said, and when I told my driver that, she was like, oh, you've got to come. We're not going to tell Pat. We're just going to surprise her. And that lunch became the highlight of my week. We both traveled a lot of roads since then. And they've been deep and important. But the template for it was set in those 5 years. Go to consciousness first. Start with love. Start with how do I love you more rather than how do I love you less, or why can't I fix you, or why won't you behave the way I want you to? We had an amazing, amazing lunch. And word had spread among the conference that this was happening and that I was going to be surprising her. And then she knew some of the other people involved in the conference, or they knew her. And people started showing up for our lunch. So we ended up with several people at our lunch as we shared and caught up and hugged on each other and loved on each other. See, when you're moving and following your heart, when you're listening, when you're pausing for guidance and then saying yes to it, other people are attracted to it like crazy. Pat lives down there now in Chapala, and she is has been there about 7 years. I had lost touch with her in 2000 because she went west to take care of her family, and I went on to other things in my life. So I reestablished that relationship at a time when we're both have something different to bring to each other than we had then. And I took the time of that story partly because it's so important to me, but also because I hope it illustrates for you how magical seeming, it's not magic, it's consciousness, cause and effect, how magical that kind of pausing and listening can be. Or listening and then acting on what you hear. One of the things we talk a lot about in this teaching is spiritual mind treatment, which is getting clear. And I call it, I kind of prefer the term spiritual mind treatment instead of prayer. Prayer has many meanings, including spiritual mind treatment. But sometimes when I talk about prayer, it starts to feel like I'm talking about projecting out there, giving my power away to something out there that's going to come in and fix me. Whereas spiritual mind treatment is shifting and changing and adjusting my consciousness to be more open and receptive, to be more loving, to be freer, to be more prosperous. All of those things that we treat for. To have a richer, more healthy life. Now, I encourage you, if you don't know how to do spiritual mind treatment, that you might check in on it. You'll find things on our website. You'll find just Google it. Google's the answer. Yeah. Or call one of our practitioners and we'll help you with that. Or CSL.org. Lots of places to learn about it. It's a powerful practice to help us in that pause. Because you can also do a thing where you simply treat for the connection and the conscious awareness of the leadership and the guidance that's available to you. See, and the way to get to that and the way to find the greatest expression is to intend, set your desires and intentions when you know what they are, and contemplate them until you can taste it. What I knew from my trip to Chapala is that there were going to be some wonderful experiences there. It's a beautiful place. I love it. And it's also a place where I just knew wonderful things were going to happen. And I didn't know what or how, but I set that intention. And I imagined some things. Never imagined what happened, but I imagined some others. And if you get an intention about what you want to be and who you want to become, taste it, feel it, believe in it, contemplate it until you're so in the feeling of it and in the consciousness of it, then when it shows up in life, you can celebrate it, but you won't be maybe as surprised as you might be otherwise. Or you might be surprised. So what does all this have to do with play? Well, I hope you're getting my drift on this, because play is setting your intention and pulling out that 5-year-old, finding the things that really bring you joy, that let you play. Exploring the mountains was play to me. Still is. I've already promised my granddaughter I'm taking her to the North Georgia mountains because that's where our earliest descendants on this continent come from. They went from there into the Creek Indians, and Creek Indians were who my great-grandmother were part of. So I want to take my granddaughter to have that experience because it's a playful, fun kind of thing. And she's so excited about all those things. Speaking of which, if you wonder about play, hang out with a grandkid. If you don't have a grandkid, adopt one, borrow one. Be sure you get permission first. Find a kid to play with. Hang out at the pool with your childhood, with child friends or adult friends. Find ways to just pause and be quiet for a while. Another way that I play that may not sound like play is meditation. And I love to play with energies. You know, when you work with these ideas long enough, you begin to really feel and develop a sensitivity to energy. You walk in a room and you can feel the energy of anger or the energy of love and support or the energy of fear. You begin to feel the dominant thing going on. Or you walk into a vortex in the world and you know when you've hit something more powerful in terms of the way the world's put together, the earth's put together. And playing in the energies can be a lot of fun too. And it provides us, again, with that pause to listen and to hear what is there for us. You know, and it's so important. It's what our soul needs. I think Daniel sang that in the song. It's what we need in order to feel lighter, in order to feel freer. Here's Holmes' statement about that. You exist, that divine feeling, fire, imagination, and creativity may be expressed. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I lost my place here. Yes, there it is. You can also let yourself off the hook for not being perfect when you play a little more. You exist, that divine feeling, fire, imagination, and creativity may be expressed through you. Spirit comes to you with a new and fresh creativity. Be yourself. Express life as you find it. Whether it's going to lunch or asking a stranger, what are you up to, because you feel something that says you should ask, or turning down a particular road, or taking a flight to somewhere that you're drawn to, or sitting by a pool, or walking on the beach, or walking through the woods, wherever and however that is, because that helps us lift and celebrate and become that fire and imagination and creativity that is naturally who we are. It is already present in us as us. I have a friend who had a different version of this. She said, you know, angels fly because they take themselves lightly. And that's kind of the same idea here. Let's take ourselves lightly. Let's lighten up in August. Let's lighten up and just listen. Listen and feel and go from there. Because you're wonderful and so am I, and so it is. So I'd like to invite you to take a few moments now to slightly, thank you, Doug. I love your poem. I love the way that it so perfectly fits with this whole idea of pausing to play, or playful pause. So, and I almost wanted to stay in the poem and not get on with today, but I did anyway. I got on with it. But right now, I'd like to go back to it. So I'd like to invite you, if you're on this with us, to take a moment to simply close your eyes or imagine, however you imagine best. Imagine yourself on the seashore. And imagine that beautiful floaty idea of the sea. The Gulf is a little easier to do that with because it's not as choppy or doesn't have the big waves as much. But imagine yourself floating in the sea of love. The idea of love. The idea of being loved. See the currents of love as they flow to you and from you out into to other places and people. Just imagine sensing and feeling that immersion in love. Remember the times you felt most loved. Remember the times you felt the most love towards someone else or other things or people or creation. Perhaps a sunset, perhaps a forest scene. And just see the love flowing from you and to you and through you and back out to those scenes. Recognize that your body is surrounded and filled with that love. It's not something outside of you. You're floating in it. It is one with you. It is floating into your very cells and flowing out into the world around you. Not unlike floating in water, where your body is mostly water anyway, and so you're floating in yourself. Just allow that to express and experience it. In this place, know with me, there is only one power, one infinite intelligence, and that intelligence, that power is love. It's a power for good in the universe. And you can use it as the power of love. And it can use you, and it is the power of love. All I had to do was hear Pat's name, and I was suddenly lost in a sea of love. Allow yourself to be lost in a sea of love. And if you have to get away from everything in order to do that, go for it. Or if you need to be surrounded by your family and for others that love you in order to feel that, go for it. It's the love that matters. And so I know this love surrounds me, fills me, moves through me, circulates in and out of my life without ever really going away. And as it does this, it's such a rich flow and such a rich experience. And so with that idea and with that feeling, that's what our community is all about. Love is our superpower, and we love. I know this to be the truth for me, and I know it to be the truth for anyone who's open to receive it. We live in love. Knowing this is so, I can let it be. I can let it go. In gratitude for all of the love I've ever thought of and experienced, gratitude for all of the love I've been able and free to give to others. And in that gratitude, I release this treatment, knowing it is done, and it is being picked up and expanded, and so that my life becomes a growing example, expression, and experience of love itself. This is my truth. I let it be, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as soon as Vance gets back to this plane of existence, we will invite him to share a little more with you about how you can support this center, how you can be part of it. Go ahead, Vance. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. It was an awesome talk. Just got in that meditation. So we're here supporting the center with all the good that we do and share with everybody throughout the world, for our community locally, for our community around the world that comes and joins us every week. And to do that, I tithe. That's it. So we've got this affirmation of prosperity. We say together, say it with me, live, loud. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow. and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. You can donate online at csl.org. A whole bunch of different ways to give us. And so next Sunday, we've got Dr. Bob again back with this theme, a pause for guidance, and he's on sparking imagination. And then we got a video to roll for other announcements for other things. Thanks.
And it's time for everybody's favorite fun game, announcements. Hey, stay in touch with the Center for Spiritual Living Midtown through our newsletter. Get one email a week letting you stay informed. And please subscribe when visiting YouTube to our YouTube channel. Those subscriptions go a long way. And while you're on your social media, why not give us a like and a share on Facebook? Let your friends know what we're doing. Invite them to come watch our services with you. And join us on our Zoom room throughout the week. We offer a variety of Zoom interaction opportunities each and every week here as part of the Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. 10 a.m. Sunday is our discussion group around the 365 Science of Mind book. Every Sunday, 12 noon Sundays, our community fellowship immediately following our Sunday services, and 12 noon on Tuesday, our online empowerment opportunity. The access information remains the same for all of our Zoom experiences. If you need access, please visit cslmidtown.org and you'll find access information on our website. Join us on any of our Zoom opportunities throughout the week. And while you're with us, be sure to connect with one of our professional practitioners. These are folks that are highly trained to support you along your spiritual journey. You can learn more on our website about our professional practitioners. Just head over to cslmidtown.org, click on About and Practitioners. Then you'll see their bios and a way to reach them and learn a little bit more about each of them. And please send us your prayer requests. Click on the Home tab and look for Affirmative Treatment Prayer Requests. Fill out the form, send it off, and get our professional practitioners praying for you each and every day. All right.
And so we come to the end of our time together today and we'd like to use our closing affirmation. This is our affirmation of life. I invite you to read it with me if you choose, and if not, that's okay. But would really love to see you take this to heart. So I leave this place now knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I'm going to read that one again. I know you probably stumbled along with me, and if you did, I apologize. But I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have everything within me, and I pause to listen to it, to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding. I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me, and so it is. We'll see you next week when we talk about imagination.